Mourners from around the world have flocked to Vatican City to pay their respects to Pope Francis. Here is a live look inside St. Peter's Basilica, where thousands of mourners are already lined up. Officials there were forced to extend public viewing hours yesterday, may do so again today. According to updated numbers released by the Vatican, more than 50,000 people paid their respects during the first 24 hours of the public viewing. Tony Aiello is reporting for us from Vatican City and got a chance to go inside St. Peter's during those extended hours.
Truly memorable. The Basilica was almost silent and almost empty. The crowds from earlier in the day were gone, and it was quite moving to see Rome police officers and sanitation workers taking advantage of the lull to pray at the coffin of the late Pope. We were told not to take close-up video of the scene at the base of that magnificent altar. I'm Catholic, and so I prayed for the soul of Pope Francis and gave thanks for his service to the world.
Meantime, Tony spoke with some of the people who waited on those lines yesterday to pay their respects.
We walked down here. We weren't really expecting to get any further than what we got, but it's incredibly long.
Around 170 dignitaries and heads of state are expected to attend the Pope's funeral on Saturday, which Vatican officials say will take place outside in St. Peter's Square. Chris Livesey is live at the Vatican. He joins us now. And Chris, I wanted to ask you about the lines today, and have you had a chance to go in yourself?
No, actually I have not, and that's because the lines have been about 3 or 4 hours long. As you mentioned in the intro, some 50,000 people have already passed by to see Pope just in the first 24 hours, so the number is surely even higher than that. I was here until about 1:30 in the morning last night, and at that time I can tell you that St. Peter's was just jam-packed with people. So just to give you some perspective, however, compared to John Paul II, who passed away in 2005, it was 10 times that number. It was 500,000. 500,000 people had seen that Pope lie in state in the first 24 hours. So we're probably not going to see the same grand outpouring of people as we did for him, but it's still quite a lot of people showing their love and devotion to the late Pope Francis.
And Chris, what preparations are happening right now for the funeral on Saturday?
Well, mostly road preparations and just bracing for this onslaught of people and of dignitaries and heads of state from around the world. Really, the center of the universe is going to be right here in Rome, starting with American President Donald Trump and his motorcade and all the security considerations that comes along with that. Remember, J.D. Vance was one of the last people to see Pope Francis alive on Easter. He was just the vice president, and his motorcade alone was enough to snarl traffic throughout the entire city. So now you've got the president of the United States coming, you've got the president of Ukraine coming, the president of France, the prime minister of the United Kingdom. I mean, people from all around the world and all of those security personnel that come with it. It's going to be a zoo. And then you have the procession to take into consideration as well, which is the coffin of Pope Francis being carried all the way from here at St. Peter's to the church where he's going to be buried, the Church of St. Mary Major. That's 2 miles east of here on the other side of Rome. So that procession alone is going to cut right through the middle of this city and snarl traffic. But it's also just a reflection of who Pope Francis was, right? He was an outsider, and now he's being buried outside of the Vatican, inside of a very simple tomb. He didn't want it to even say that he was a pope on it. It's just going to have one word: Francis.
And we understand the Cardinals met again today as they get ready for the conclave. What are we hearing about those plans?
Right, so those are informal talks going on right now. A lot of these cardinals have to talk about the future of the church, and they're not supposed to be campaigning, so to speak. They'll get into more serious discussions once the conclave begins itself. In fact, that's one of the things they're discussing, is when to actually begin the process to elect the Pope. That has to take place at least 15 days after the Pope died. So given that timeline that he died on Monday, we're looking at May 6th as the earliest for that procedure to begin. And then it's a big wild card. A lot of people think, well, you know, it's probably going to look something like Pope Francis, the Pope who comes out of this conclave, since Pope Francis named the vast majority of the cardinals who are going to elect the next Pope. But keep in mind, a lot of these cardinals come from the periphery. Those were parts of the world that Pope Francis was very, moved to go and reach personally, and he named cardinals in far-flung places like East Timor, Mongolia, Tonga. These are people who don't necessarily speak Italian and also bring with them perhaps a different set of values than people, closely affiliated with Pope Francis, known for, having a more open church, for opening the church to groups that had been felt excluded before, like the LGBTQ community. A lot of these cardinals come from places that don't feel very open to those outsider groups. So when it comes to actually electing the next pope, it's really anybody's guess, Mary.
Chris Livesay live at the Vatican. Thank you. And coverage continues at 7 o'clock on CBS Mornings with another live report from the Vatican and a closer look at what the future of the church could look like.